So since some babysitting is really necessary, this does first off the connector thing. First thing you arrive when you get to that same shop in the mall, the phone thing, is that they mentioned something about connector. Out of the blue, I said the phone wasn't turning on. That's hardly the first thing you think. It took me to actually mention that it connects unconnected to the wall for them to say, no, then it cannot be a connector. But why would you think connector in the first place? The phone turning on, not turning on, has nothing to do with connector. Now, my phone, when that happened, had virtually no battery, so that's a thing. And with that in mind, you think there's a maybe possibility, but you're having video already, the video's already on YouTube even, and it's backed up everywhere because everything from that day was, is then coming up with connector for what reason? Because today we just saw the phone just being crashed by the criminals being shut down without no movement at all, and one of those times was filmed, right? So, like externally. And that's the thing. I just want to mention the other point, which is safety margin. The idea that with this, you give them safety margin to do some level of crime, right? Because they're smarter than everybody else, and nobody, after seeing everything else, would think that. Nobody would think that should have some initial process to be, even if it's uploaded in a very raw state, it needs a process to get that, right? I just want to point out that because that ties up a face. You already have them straight up changing a story where one day, which by the way was a previous day, and previous day is not one day in the back. Yesterday is a very specific type of previous day, and it's one that you remember, especially because it was a night. And with me remembering that 3 times, then almost as much being sure to make sure to say the words someday, whenever, whatever, when, instead of that is relevant, because even if you don't remember, you won't emphasize as much. You just glance at it and move on, right? You just not pay attention to me saying yesterday. No, it actually was yesterday. Or you acknowledge that, say, yeah, right, yesterday. So that is already one. And now you have another one, which is actually far more relevant, which is they're coming up with something. Because for this weird thing now, which by the way should obviously not the case, although they'll be seen as a suggestion, which at this point we're just saying, neat. That's what everybody else can see. Not just the criminals now, also the good guys. And those are the guys they're expecting to lie, to believe in the lie. So that's the point. And it gives a bit of abusing safety margin, right? The idea that maybe they are claiming to do some type of crime that only the criminals would know. Because the criminals have access to the file before this finish. You saw that several times in the mall, how everybody reacts to things that I say seconds after I say in the same video. In the same video, see me saying something, they reacting to it. Yeah, that establishes that they have a bug or a device recording me from another source, which that works as well for me. But most likely, given that some cases of sitting in pretty random places, middle tables with no things next to me, that they just can listen to the phone live, right? So you still can get that evidence through testimony, but it shows a clear intention to build safety margin, because now they think that there'll be impunity on to do things because they can just technically shut down the phone as you should do the screen recordings. You know, those times you get to see that online. Yeah. So that's pretty explicit as well, and the link to the thing.